Hello, I'm getting ready. I'm gonna prepare the microphone. Just a second for the final settings, but we are going live today. Hello. Hello and welcome to our A2 level writing. It's focused for the EIKEN grade Pre-2 test. And today I'm gonna offer you some tips to improve your writing. Our lessons, they are aimed to an age group from 10 to 13 years of age. But even if you are older than that and you want to improve your English, improve your writing, I think this is the right video for you. I am still just checking here. I hope you guys can hear me well. Hello again, I'm Juliana Kawauchi from Let's Study Eikaiwa. Well, if for some reason, I'm just checking to see if the microphone is working well. Hello? Well, then let's get started. We're gonna start this lesson with a warm-up exercise. I'm going to show you a word and write down whatever word comes to your mind. It's pretty late here in Japan. It's 12:55 a.m. So I'm sure none of my students are gonna be watching this because they're all sleeping. They have school tomorrow. But if you guys watch this after, don't forget to leave a comment, to leave the words that pop to your mind when you see these words. It's a good way to practice your building up vocabulary, thinking more quickly. So let's get started. We'll start with this warm-up exercise, and after that I will give you some tips for writing. We're going to see two kinds of questions that can come up during the test, and we're also going to see two samples of writing. So with no further ado, let's get started. Our first word, and remember to write whatever pops to your mind, whatever comes to your mind when you see the words on the screen. Our first word right here is traffic. Too many cars on the streets. To my mind, it comes noise, stress. Let's move on to our second word, noisy places. Noisy places, I would say big cities, Tokyo. Museums, maybe knowledge, history. What do you think? How about big cities? Again, Tokyo. It's the first city that comes to my mind. Also convenient, attractive, quiet. Kikugawa, the city I live in, it's very quiet. Amusement parks, fun, exciting. Okay, so let's move on now that we have already done our warm up. Okay, we're going to start talking a little bit about our writing. And I apologize, I'm looking to multiple screens. So if I seem a little lost, it's because I am. Okay, it's too much to keep up for the first time. Okay, actually, it's my second live stream, but it's still a little bit hard. I will be speaking slowly because this is aimed to an A2 level. So we could say that they are beginners, from beginners to intermediate. And to remind you guys that this is for in Japan. This test is aimed to high school students. However, my students here, they are still in elementary, at the end of elementary school, but we are already preparing to take the test because this helps them enrich their curriculum in order to enter their high school of choice. So for the EIKEN writing practice, we are going to work with two kinds of questions. For those who are not familiar with the test, it's a short writing passage that ranges between 50 to 60 words. And as I said before, it's a A2 level, so it's from basic to intermediate. And here today, we're going to see two kinds of questions that we can find on the test. The first one, we are talking about questions that express an opinion about individual matters. So in this case, I'm going to talk about one specific topic. For example, I'm not going to be comparing anything, just one thing which I will have to write about. Look at this question. Let me see if I find my pointer here. No, but do you think it is important to take part in school clubs? One more time. Do you think it is important to take part in school clubs? So school clubs are very common here in Japan. There are after-school activities that students must take part in, must participate in order to enrich their curriculum. So that's one individual matter. You were just going to talk about that, taking part or not in a school club. Another sample is, do you think students should do you think students should do volunteer work? So again, you were just going to talk about volunteer work, your opinion about doing it or not. So let's discuss this a little bit. How are we going to start our piece of writing? According to EIKEN standards, very simple. I recommend this format. You could start, if you do not agree, I don't think that. If you agree, I think that, I believe that, or in my opinion. And notice how I repeat some words from the prompt, from the question. It's very important to repeat some of these words into your answer. So, if you do not agree, you think it's not necessary to take part, you could start with, I don't think that it is important to take part in school clubs. If you think students should participate, I believe that it is important to take part in school clubs. Or, in my opinion, it is important to take part in school clubs. And then at the end of this, you can add, I have some reasons to support my opinion. Usually, in this part of the EIKEN test, we're going to give 2 reasons and details. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about our reasons in order to reach the amount of words necessary. So after you have answered your opinion about the topic, you are going to add, I have 2 reasons to support my opinion, or as I wrote here, I have some reasons to support my opinion. Hello, JP Super Monkey. Nice to have you here. Thank you. How are you doing? Well, moving on to our next question. Do you think students should volunteer? Do you think students should do volunteer work? So, following this sample right here that I have just given you, how would you answer it? Oh, thank you for telling me that. It's good to know. Well, let's check an example. The same thing. If you do not think they should volunteer, you would say, I don't think that students should do volunteer work. I have some reasons to support my opinion. If you think they should, very simple, I believe that students should do volunteer work. I have some reasons to support my opinion. Or we could also say, in my opinion, students should do volunteer work. I have some reasons to support my opinion. Remember that this last part, we can also say, I have 2 reasons to support my opinion, or I believe that students should do volunteer work for 2 reasons. That's another way to start your piece of writing. Well, now we have answered the prompt, the question. This is the most important part because you have to state clearly your opinion on the topic. Now we're going to take about a minute or not more than 2 minutes to brainstorm, to write down our ideas. What are we going to include in our piece of writing? I think this is very important because it prevents you from getting lost during your writing. So let's see some ideas that we can include. Oh, but before we do, let's go to our second kind of question. Our second kind of question. Here, I'm sorry. Do students think they should do volunteer work? I'm sorry, I'm a little bit lost as I said. I am going into multiple screens, okay? But let's pick up from where we stopped. Let's suppose that we chose this topic to talk about. Do you think students should do volunteer work? Just a second. So, let's think that you do think that students should do volunteer work. So let's think of some reasons to include in your piece of writing. Maybe volunteer work can be a good opportunity to help people. So you can talk about this in your writing. Another topic that you can include is that it's an opportunity to learn new things. Or yet, it will help you feel proud about yourself. What does feel proud mean? It means that you will be happy and satisfied with yourself. So that is fulfilling. You can also say that it might help you build up character. It's going to make you be a better person, a kinder person, a more honest person. So these are some reasons that, these are some points that you can talk about in your writing. But let's suppose that you believe that it's not necessary. Students should not take part in should not do volunteer work. Super important, right? I agree. But if you think they should not, so maybe you could say that you already have a very busy schedule. Well, we all know that here in Japan, students really do have a busy schedule. They stay at school until 3 o'clock, and then after that, they have after school clubs, sports, and sometimes even cram school. So, that might be a good reason. Another reason is family time. So, you have such a busy schedule, the free time you have, you want to spend with your family. That's also reasonable. Maybe you are too young. As I said, my students are aged 10 to 13, so maybe they want to wait a little bit more to start doing volunteer work. Or, as I said, it's your opinion, maybe you're just not interested in doing volunteer work. You want to dedicate yourself to sports, you want to watch videos on YouTube. It's your piece of writing. As long as you give reasons, as long as you support your idea in a clear way, it's good. Okay? Let's move on. So, our next type of writing is how to express your opinion by comparing two things. So, here, for example, do you think studying in a group is better than studying alone? So, you are comparing two things, studying in a group or studying alone. Another example is, do you think living in a big city is better than living in the country? Remember that country are small cities where usually we have, like here in Japan, we have a lot of rice paddies, we have tea. So this is the country. Big cities like Tokyo, New York. Okay, so what do you think? Do you think living in big cities is better than living in the country? And I have chosen this question to talk a little bit about our ideas, to brainstorm words to insert in our piece of writing. So, if you think that living in a big city is better, then maybe you can say that it's more convenient. Of course, there are many more shops, restaurants, there are fun activities, places like amusement parks, movie theaters. So, these are ideas that you can insert as details into your writing. You can also talk about the many nice places to eat in big cities. It's something so hard to find here in small cities like Kikugawa. And finally, if you are into shopping, you could say that there are cooler toys, nicer clothes, and etc. But let's imagine that you are not a fan of big cities. You would rather live in the country, in a town. So you could say that, first of all, it's more expensive. Living in a big city is much more expensive. It's also noisier, and perhaps you enjoy quiet. You like silent places. That's another point you can include. Also, too many cars. There is too much traffic. It's stressful. So that's the negative point. And finally, we can also say that perhaps there are too many people. The places are too crowded, and you don't like crowded places. So these are some ideas that you can use to insert in your piece of writing. So it's very important. You don't have to write them completely. You can just take fast notes. That's true. Very small apartments, right? And expensive rents. That's something that is not very good about living in big cities. And parking places are also very hard to find. And when we find them, they're very expensive, right, JP? Super Monkey. Well, here I have given you some ideas. And now we are going to move on and see a sample essay. Let's write a little bit, okay, about this. The first sample essay that we are going to see is a person that agrees, that believes that living in big cities is better than living in the country. And I would like you to notice that I started with yes. Many sample essays for the EIKEN test, they start with yes. I personally ask my students not to because it's an essay. So we can omit the yes and start with I believe or in my opinion. That already clearly states that you agree with the topic. So, again, the question, do you think living in a big city is better than living in the country? Yes, I believe living in a big city is better than in the country. To begin with, cities are more convenient with many job opportunities, schools, and healthcare nearby. So notice that in this passage right here, I stated my opinion. I made it clear, okay, whether I agree or not with the question. And then I started giving my reasons. I used transition words to start. Instead of first, I used to begin with to present my first reason. And then I mentioned that cities are more convenient and I added a little bit more details. So this is very important. You present your opinion and you give a little bit more details about it. So my details are that they offer job opportunities, schools, and healthcare nearby. And then I added my second one. Here my second idea is delicious, right? It's always good. We don't find this in the country. It's very hard. All right, so let's continue here. My second reason is that there are lots of fun places like museums, parks, and movie theaters. And I'm gonna add a little bit more details. Plus, there are many nice places to eat with diverse food options. While cities may be busy, these benefits make life enjoyable and comfortable for me. So, JP Super Monkey, many food options, like I said, right? And as you guys realize here, when I presented my second reason, I added a little bit more and I used the transition word plus as into when I want to add information. So these transitional words, yes, absolutely. That's a great way to have fun, right? Do different things. JP Super Monkey. I love the aquarium too. In Nagoya, it's a great place. And as I was saying, we add these transition words plus to begin with to make the transition from one idea to the other very clear and natural, or to make the transition into details. I want to add more details. We could use those transitional words to make them smooth and clear, something natural. So here I addressed a task perfectly. I agreed with the opinion. I repeated some of the words. I agreed with the question. Okay, I stated my opinion clearly. I added some of the words from the question into my answer. And I gave my 2 reasons plus extra details. This is what you should do. Remember that the average number of words is from 50 to 60. But if we go a little bit beyond that, there is no problem. They are evaluating how well you can express your ideas. Let's move on. Now we are going to see a sample writing where the writer thinks that living in the country is better. So the writer says that I don't think that living in a big city is better than living in the country. I have some reasons to support my opinion. First, living in a big city can be exciting, but it's usually more expensive. there are so many cars and it can be noisy. So in this first part of our paragraph, the writer stated his opinion, okay? And here the writer wrote that I have 2 reasons to support my opinion. That's perfect. If you don't include it, it's okay. But you can include it even to reach the number of words. Oh, JP Super Monkey, that is an issue because some students that I have, they mentioned that there isn't an English speaking teacher. Many times not a native speaking, native teacher. They have a proctor who does speak English, but they have an accent, right? Typically from Japan, so it makes sometimes it a little bit hard for students to understand. But of course, that if students don't understand, they can ask the proctor to repeat the question. They can say, I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? Pardon, right? The proctor will repeat it again. So that is a little problem that sometimes students have, especially because the materials, the books, they come with speaking practices, actually listening practices, where the speaker speaks clear English. So if students only practice with that and sometimes don't have access to the accent that many Japanese speakers have a strong accent, then this can be a little issue, a small issue. But as I said, if it comes to that, just ask them to repeat again and they will. Well, continuing here, our second part, I'm going to add my second idea, my second reason actually, and I use the linking word also. So also, big cities are crowded and let's start over. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my words. Also, big cities are crowded and I enjoy quiet and less crowded places. So the country might be a better choice for me. So I presented my second reason and I gave a little bit more of details by saying that I prefer less crowded places, that I enjoy quiet. So that's another sample for you guys, okay? It addresses the task, it gives the reasons clearly and a bit more of information. So my tip is always start with short sentences and keep your ideas clear. Try to use transitional words. Try to use adjectives to describe things, to enrich your writing, give more details. JP Super Monkey, where I live there is a lot of yes, right? In the country, that's another problem here. So that can be a reason for not living in the country in Japan. Many snakes and bugs too. There are so many bugs in summer. Well, let's move on a little bit. Now, here I have the summary of all the ideas and details that we could include in our pieces of writing. So if you guys are up for the challenge, get your notebook, let's start writing. Here, guys, thank you for watching, right? Thank you for participating. And if you do write and you want to send me an email, I would love to see your writing. I would love to see your comments, okay? And of course, if you do send me an email with your piece of writing, I will give you a feedback, all right? I will comment on what you should improve. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And subscribe if you're new to our channel. Subscribe for more tips. Thank you so much, JP, Super Monkey. And I apologize. I know sometimes I got caught in my words. As I said, it's my second live stream, and I don't feel nervous when I'm talking in front of students. I can have a class with 20, 30, 40 students. That does not scare me. But talking in front of a camera is something that kind of freaks me out. So I'm not gonna lie, my hands are really cold. I'm a bit nervous. So I truly apologize if I made any kind of mistake while talking, but I corrected myself. And as I said, leave your comments and I'll see you soon, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye. Bye bye, JP Super Monkey. Thank you. I hope I do get used to it. Bye bye.